Alright, so today we are going to go over my Necromancer build that I like to call, I guess, Black Hole Sun, just to do, with all the Shadow Darkness damage, as well as just minions with it as well. So I guess you call it like a Shadow Minion hybrid. And, to start off, we'll just show, the ability points. So for your basic skill, I mean, you can use Bone Splinters or Decompose. That's very up to you. It's a personal choice, in my opinion. I like Decompose just because I have items that usually help it, as well as, your minions deal more damage. That's why I prefer it with this build, just because it is a hybrid minion build. And then you also want to have Blight as your core skill at the end of the day, because it slows enemies, which, plays into passives we'll get into later. Let's expand this. And, Supernatural Blight also increases your minion damage, because we want to make sure that we're not only boosting our damage, but the minions as well. We'll always choose ourselves first, of course, but you want to make sure they can, still do something. And then, of course, you want to have Skeletal, Warrior Mastery. Corpse Explosion as well, turn that into a Darkness skill. It's very up to you how many points you put in this. I usually get an item that always gives me Corpse Explosion, so I just kind of play around with that. And then I personally like to run the Decrepify version of this build, because then you can curse the target area, which, gets lucky hit, so, chances to be stunned for enemies, and your cooldowns can be lower, which plays into your Iron Golem you'll use, so you can inflict more vulnerability sooner. Then of course you want to upgrade your Skeletal Mage's health, also amplify your damage, as well as make sure that you have Death's Embrace leveled up a little bit. You could have this more if you wanted to, but that's very up to you. Same with this skill, Necrotic Heart, just because, when you use your skills or your minions, you'll fortify more of your health. That's very up to you. How much you want to put in that. I don't think it saves me all the time, but it is nice. And then these two, you really only want 1 point, in my opinion. Reaper's Pursuit and Crippling Darkness. I think it's better to have Gloom level up all the way, just because, you and your minions can, stack this, which is super nice. Not only from you, but your minions can activate as well, and Terror, just because this helps your Darkness damage do, just more, of course, whenever they're stunned, immobilized, any kind of bonus, and they stack, of course, which is super nice. And just like how you upgraded your mages and your warriors, you of course want to upgrade your column all the way. And then the other version of this build, if you want to, instead of Decrepify, you could pick up Army of the Dead Ultimate, but that's again very up to you. And also, if you wanted to play this with no minions, just a pure, black hole build, you of course would pick up Standalone and Memento Mori as well, just to boost your sacrifice bonuses as well as good damage reduction, which is why playing a solo Necro is so much better compared to heavy minions. But I don't know, Necromancer just doesn't feel like Necromancer without the minions, in my opinion. And so I like to have Inspiring Leader, so after you've been healthy and your minions getting attack speed, which is very good once you have items to play in that as well, and also increasing your minions' damage while you're close to them, because most of the time they're going to be near you. Either your mages will or your warriors. Like, someone's going to be near you, and that damage is honestly, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice at the end of the day. And then you also want to have Death's Defense. This keeps your minions from being one-shot, essentially. The most damage they can do in one hit is 30%. This comes in very clutch later. As well as Bond and Essence, up to you if you want to put points in this. I didn't really notice a difference. I don't really see a point in having it personally. And then for your key passive, of course, being a Shadow build, you're going to want Shadow Blight. This is not worth it. It helps minions, sure, but it's not worth it. You want your Shadow Blight. And then, just, actually we'll look at our items first for our character. So, you want to increase your number of Skeletal Mages and Warriors. That's very up to you, how much you want to do it by, or if you even want to at all. I've been running just like 4 Warriors lately, and I haven't noticed too much like a difference of, how many corpses are being made. It hasn't been too terrible, and I would say you actually want to have probably more mages first instead of warriors, just due to this right here. So you want this item for sure, because anytime you're cold mages, it's like Blizzard and Chill, You know, freeze the enemies due to you having ice mages, and then they'll also become vulnerable when they're frozen. And this procs a lot more. Well, your ice mages proc a lot more that vulnerability when they have this with them as well, when they can cast that blizzard. Another one you want to have, well, this one's very up to you, is that while you have 7 or more minions, they gain, you know, increased damage reduction on top of that 30%, making sure you're not one-shot, as well as the other abilities you have. And the most important one for the Shadow Corpse Explosion, you want to make sure that you have, you know, the Sacred Unique Gloves, of course, where your Corpse Explosion summons like a skeleton, and then they go after someone, explode, and you know, you can get this all the way to 40%. That's what I'm looking for eventually, but it's just very nice, and it always has like a hit chance, corpse attack speed. Like mine's garbage. It's only 15.7. It could be a lot better. And then this is super nice for your blight. So, especially like, so getting enemies grouped up just becomes a lot easier with this move because, you know, once that black pool of spawn is like there, it can pull in all the enemies affected, and then you can stack your corpse explosions. Your iron golem can hit them in one hit with vulnerability. It just makes it a lot easier. And then you also want this as well. Anytime you pick an item that can help your Shadow Blight passive, you definitely want it. So this one increases the next damage within 10 seconds up to 36%, up to 5 times. This is super good, especially when it's paired with this one right here, where you deal increased damage for 6 seconds after the Shadow Blight passive has, you know, damaged 10 enemies, which again, why this is super nice, because it groups them all up together. So these 3 right here really play well together, and I recommend any Necromancer to grab those. And then, well, this one, my bad on that one. This one's still good too, where they can gain increased damage while alive. I actually think this ability is a lot better than this one. I actually kind of want to eventually get new legs eventually, but I don't know what. And then dealing damage while still, basically you get the full 30% almost immediately after standing still for 2 seconds. And with the minions, you're able to do that because also with Necromancer you only have 1 dodge chance, so it is, you know, it is a little risky, but it is, you know, nice bit of extra damage. Then your Book of the Dead, of course, you want Reaper Skeletal Warriors, Cold Skeletal Mages, and then the Iron Golem. Then getting the Paragon, the big boy right here. So, you know, your first tree, I would have either the Amplify if you're using an Amplify version of this build. That's what I like to personally use. You can also use Darkness, which is probably what I'm going to put in the second slot up here. Honestly, there's a few that you can use. It's very much up to you what you want to use at the end of the day when it comes to your Paragon points. But when it comes to main board attachment, I definitely like the one where it comes with the extra shadow damage. The Wither is insane. You get a chance to deal bonus damage each time they deal damage. It's increased by 1% and more for each willpower you have, and it's just overall a very solid board. But, you know, we can go on about Paragons all day, but this was, you know, the main part of the build. And so, you know, just to see it in action a little bit, let's, you know, go out here.
I cannot do that here.
And we're in a Helltide, which is super nice, so we'll see enemies that are higher level than us. And this doesn't do insane crit damage or anything. This is just meant to get the job done and make you feel like that powerful Necromancer that can summon all of your minions. Like right here, we'll do this real quick before the event. See, and that headpiece right there where it drags them all in together, now we can have our Shadow Blight passive just popping off right now. And that's essentially what we want. And of course the game's glitching a little bit because Diablo's servers have just, I don't know what's been wrong with Diablo's servers. It's been something though. They've not been great recently. But let's go to this event. Oh, it's probably because there's an event nearby and there are people here. So great, we're for the people. But as you can see, you're basically just making sure you keep all your minions alive, throwing Corpse Explosion whenever you can to gain essence as well as Fortify, and then, you know, throwing your Blight when you can to group up enemies, just so you can get those passives going. And that's essentially the whole build, and, you know, just making sure you put your vulnerability down with your Iron Golem like I am now. Because either your Iron Golem is going to proc it or your Skeletal Mages, but either way, it definitely gets the job done. And you know, I hope you guys have fun with this build if you plan on using it, as well as just definitely experiment with the glyph socket system and what legendaries you use, because you can definitely make a version of this black hole sun build without the minions, and it'd probably honestly be it is better. I've played it without. It's honestly a little better, but this is just really nice to get that overall minion feeling, as well as making sure that you still do like good damage over time. But it's not going to be like the Necromancer builds where you're doing insane damage in one hit after building it for 40 seconds. This is just a very steady damage build, and it definitely melts elites pretty quick in my opinion. Let's see if we can find one, honestly. Let's go this way. Again, shout out like the passive, let's be able to get everyone. Super nice. There we go. And as you can see, why I call it Black Hole Sun is just because of how dark it gets due to all the corpse explosions, as well as everything else. Let's see here. Out of essence, it's no big deal. I definitely do miss the Necromancer a little bit in Diablo 3. That is the thing, but what can you do? It's not going to be as strong as that, because that shit was kind of broken, to be fair. Seeing though, as you can see, the Ice Mages they really start the damage going, making everyone vulnerable. It's pretty ridiculous. Oh, she expensive. I see. That's what I'm talking about. So as you can see, as long as you just, hit Amplify every once in a while, get your cooldowns a little better, and pretty much just melt through any enemy you want. I have played this on Nightmare tier as well, at level 60, starting at level 65. It does just as well there. The only thing you need to be careful of is if you don't have an item that gives you shield when you're hit or anytime you damage an elite enemy, I would just, definitely be aware of where your enemies are at. Because, as we know, Necromancer only gets 1 of 8 or 2 if you get the nice item drop for it, which I'm still waiting for. I want some shield dudes with an extra evasion. That is the goal. God, they need to make sellers more worth it to go in, but we'll get there eventually. We will get there eventually, hopefully, but
I need more time.
Let's see here. Oh, perfect. Oh, I thought that was an elite enemy. I got a little excited. Oh! Oh, he's right up there, but we'll go fight the elite enemy. Up there. Alright. Let's go. Do this.
I'm not ready yet.
Okay. So here's an elite enemy, and we're just going to... Well, after I can get some more corpses up. So I would actually say you may want more skeletal warriors just because you can get more corpses, but as you can see now, once you get them going, it's just good night. Like, they're not doing too much. You can get, end of dungeon bosses down super quick, because you're just doing multiples of like, 2, 5,000, 10,000. It's very, a lot of damage over time for sure. And the more key passes you get, as well as the Paragon system, it's just going to keep getting even better over time. And you see, it's just, there it is, it's all gone. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. And,
I need more time.
Hold on real quick, actually. But yeah, that's essentially the build. If you want to see more Necromancer builds, I will be posting more, as well as, I guess, an average gamer review. And just like and subscribe if you want to see more of that, and I appreciate it.